सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। The fifth Anuvaka we will chant together. Those who know, join me. नमो भवाय च रुद्राय च नमः शर्वाय च पशुपतये च नमो नीलग्रीवाय च शितिकण्ठाय च नमः कपर्दिने च व्युक्तकेशाय च नमः सहस्राक्षाय च शतधन्वने च नमो गिरिशाय च शिपिविष्टाय च नमो मीडुष्टमाय चेषुमते च नमो ह्रस्वाय च वामनाय च नमो बृहते च वर्षीयसे च नमो वृद्धाय च संवृध्वने च नमो अग्र्याय च प्रथमाय च नमः आशवे चाजिराय च नमः शीघ्रियाय च शीभ्याय च नमः ऊर्म्याय चावस्वन्याय च नमः स्रोतस्याय च द्वीप्याय च। So in this fifth Anuvaka, yesterday we saw Girishaya cha Shipi Vishtaya cha. So, Shipi Vishtaya cha, the one, there is another meaning that which missed my explanation yesterday. Shipi means light or illumination. Vishta is to spread that light. That light which can be understood as knowledge, which dispels the darkness of ignorance, or directly worshipping that Bhagavan Surya himself. Shipi Vishta, that Surya Narayana who is illumining this entire world. Shipi means illumination, Vishta is to spread that illumination. So to such Surya Bhagavan, our salutations and pranams. regularly. See, our ancestors were amazingly brilliant people. They made things so simple and user friendly that just following those simple things would put any human being with a sensible head on the shoulders on right track. And the system that was introduced by the ancestors to the next set of generation was that when the child was not even 4-year-old, was initiated into something called Gayatri Upasana or Sandhya Vandana. Now that Sandhya Vandana has got Dhyana Kriya, Pranayama Kriya, Upasana Kriya and Japa. All of them put together in one simple package. But the one stipulation that was, or that still is that if you have to worship that Surya Narayana, by the time there are first rays of his hitting the horizon, you should be awake way before that. So by being awake at the very beginning of the day, before the sun rises, that all your kalakritya, all that which you had to do in the morning, shower and getting ready, everything is already done. 3/4 of the upasana portion is also done. You are leaving arghya by the time the sun is in the horizon. So the mantra, japa, upasana, dhyana and pranayama aside, even if that student woke up early in the morning to do this on a regular basis, discipline is established at a young age. Along with that discipline, the mantra makes sure that the mind is well tuned. Pranayama helps to yoke that mind into the direction desired. And dhyana finally elevates that mind into a higher status. The upasana of Bhagavan Surya. Upasana of that which illumines and spreads across, illumining everything that it touches. So all the great Mahatmas, all the great yogis, all the great Rishi, Sannyasi parampara that we have, tirelessly they have been constantly giving this illumination of knowledge to remove the ignorance. So to that entire parampara of illuminators, when you look at it from the Guru Tattva, there is only one Guru Tattva. If you look at it from the standpoint of that Guru and that parampara, to the entire parampara is the expression of Bhagavan Shiva himself. And almost all of his avatars are Gyana avatar. Bhagavan Vishnu is Kriya avatar, Kriya Pradhana. Whenever he expresses, he has to, that's why he is a mastermind behind lots of management issues. That is Bhagavan Vishnu. But whenever Bhagavan Shiva takes avatar, it is Jnana avatar. Various forms of these gurus and their paramparas, salutations to all of them who have given us this amazing knowledge, and if to be marketed in today's world, I should say free of cost. Because even the Guru Dakshina Sampradaya, it's not that the Guru Dakshina is, somebody asked me, when we also announced for Guru Dakshina, so there was this new person who had come. I said, is this some kind of a fees? So I said, I may be a sannyasi, but I am not a lousy businessman. If it were fees, then I would have first collected it and then allowed you inside, not the other way around. So it definitely is not a fee system. But the greatness in that was the Guru teaches the entire batch or entire set of disciples to be able to stand on their own feet. Having gained this knowledge, they go back into the world, apply this knowledge and firmly find their roots. Having thus made a life for themselves, appreciating what the Guru has taught, thus these students come back saying, "O Guru, I have learned and what you have taught me has been so beneficial and useful. In appreciation, I would want to give something." Thus there were patrons who were taking care of the Gurukula, and their fundraising was not the headache of the Guru. In Kali Yuga now that has become the added what you call requirement in the resume that you have to be able to raise funds as well. So the Guru Dakshina system was to maintain that healthy system wherein knowledge and money, knowledge and education and the wealth associated with it are separated. The moment there is wealth with which you want to buy knowledge, knowledge has already gotten corrupted. Not expecting anything back. The entire Guru Parampara has given to such Shipi Vishta, the entire Guru Parampara, the illuminators of our ancient time, our prostrations, salutations and namaskar. Namo Girishaya cha Shipi Vishtaya cha. That was one thing that I missed yesterday. Now, the next mantra. Namo Midustamaya Cheshumate cha. Namo Midustamaya Cheshumate cha. Simpler meaning. Namaha, salutations. Midustamaya, the one who is the absolute cause, the ultimate cause of this entire creation. Not just this earth that we see, not just this planet system that we see, multiple such planetary systems, multiple such universes is one, multiverses. For this entire multiverse of cosmos, he is the one who is the ultimate cause for all their creation. Ishumatecha, to the beholder of the bow. Now when you create something, a movement, for the entire movement to successfully launch itself and maintain itself and progress day by day, there are a lot of things that have to be put in certain place. Whoever is responsible for whatever responsibility given, when not performing it, it will lead to a chaos. See, the government agencies, just to maintain their balance and they don't set some wrong precedents. So what they do is, even if there is a small project, they'll break it up into 2-3 different parts and make sure that there are bids, and whoever is the best bid in offering the best services, they are selected and given those bids. So there was this project Green Earth project. So the entire system was to select a piece of land, huge piece of land, and they divided the entire task into 3 parts. The first agency, its responsibility was to dig a hole. There were some parameters given, and dig a hole to that parameter. The second agency's job was to bring the plant, remove it out of the pot and put it there with the manure and everything. The third agency's job was to make sure that they refill the hole and make sure that the plant is maintained. These are the 3 tasks. When you look at your own simple job, it may look like boring, uninteresting. What happens if the sequence goes haywire? So there was the agency that had to dig holes. They had employed 2 people. Those who had to plant had employed 2 people. Those who had to cover the holes had employed 2 people. For a week or so, everything was going on smooth, everything was perfect. But after a while, there was a huge patch wherein it seemed like there was hole dug and there was no plant. So there was an enquiry commission. What happened? So then they realized that the second fellow, the team fell sick. Some flu or whatever it was, they could not come for 4-5 days. They sent the email and the email was not seen. So what happened? The first team came, they dug their hole. The second team was absent. So what did the third team do? They filled it up again. That is why if you look at the Indian government functioning system, first there will be road laid out, beautiful roads. Within a week or 15 days of laying down the beautiful road, there will be a company that will come and start digging the roads. Why? They say wiring. And as soon as that fellow comes, there is a second fellow who will come and again put the road. As soon as the road is done, again in 10-15 days they will start digging holes. And now why? We are trying to put a flyover or the train system, the metro system. Again dig the holes. See, that is what chaos it leads to. It is not just that this creation is beautifully created, but the creation also has to be maintained under certain strict laws, wherein nothing goes haywire, nothing goes topsy-turvy. To manage one house, how many people on average do we have in a house? Three to four people per family. You too and your children too. India, there was a slogan, "Hum do, hamare do." That's what I got reminded. So, to average 4 people per family. And in order to maintain a certain amount of balance, one of them has to take the lead role in trying to maintain the discipline. So here Ishumate is the one who says, now imagine, multiply it with these many different aspects that he has to manage and control. Ishumate, the one who is holding that amazing bow which keeps this entire creation in line. Just holding that bow is more than sufficient. It's like when the children are doing some mischief. You don't need to shout or scream or anything. Just go stand there. What will happen? Suddenly, okay. Everything comes back into normal. Gurudev used to say about the officers, how do you know the boss is in or out? If everybody seems to be at their own table and busily involved in doing something at their table, without groups here and there forming, that's a clear indication that the one in charge is in the office. If they are in groups and here and there they are gossiping and talking around, then definitely the boss is out. Now here he is the boss of this entire universe and he has to maintain the entire universe in its perfect balance. I would call him as the most benevolent dictator. Because the moment somebody becomes a dictator, it becomes a tyranny. It becomes such a pain for the entire kingdom. But here is a dictator who assumes that post, gives everybody the confidence that everything is going to be fine, rather than to threaten them. Ishu mate. Now, Midustamaya has another meaning. What is the other meaning? Here, Midustama means Brahmaji himself, the creator. It comes in various references, and there they say, Atishayena Virya Sechaka Jagat Srashta Hiranya Garbha Tadrupaya Ityartaha Midustamaya. You understood? Atishayena Virya Sechaka Jagat Srashta. To constantly keep creating, you need Atishayena Virya Sechaka. You need amazing creative surge, which is constantly maintained. So this is one of the definitions of Brahmaji. Midushtama. Midushtama, the one who has amazing tejas, virya tejas, with which he constantly keeps this creation moving on. Midustamaya. To that Hiranyagarbha, now Hiranyagarbha, another way of looking at Brahmaji is Hiranyagarbha. He is the Garbha, Garbha, the womb for this entire creation, from where this creation with various differences, various multitude springs forth from. To such Atishayena Virya Sechaka Jagat Srashta Hiranyagarbha Tadrupaya Midustamaya Ityarthaha. So if you look at the earlier mantras and here, it's almost sounding similar to wherein we hear in the Vedic mantras, Sabrahmas Sashivasendra Sokshara Paramaswarat. That he is that Brahma, he is that Hari, he is that Indra. Did we not see that Sahasraksha? Sahasraksha means Indra. So it is reflecting exactly the same mantra which is talked about in these various Vedic mantras. Now Midushtama has a third meaning. Third meaning is, in the form of the clouds, he alone rains forth appropriately whenever required. Such one who makes the clouds to rain is called Midushtama. the third meaning. Now, one simple understanding of it is that whenever required, there are clouds and they start raining. Very simple understanding. I don't know who it was, but they were saying that in the Middle East, they have never seen rains. And about 35 years ago, they started putting this effort to irrigate that land. And they must have spent millions and millions and millions of dollars in it. Now you go to these places, even when you are flying in, maybe you are just transiting through, and you see it from the top. It doesn't appear like a desert Middle East. It seems like a green Middle East. And over the period of these 30 years, the new thing that has come in, the change that has come in, is we find occasional rains every year. So you put right effort, create that green belt, then it creates the right environment for it to rain. Now, the Vedanta Darshana, the Vedantic perspective of this Midushtama is, according to the Vasana, according to the Kamana, when the karma is performed, that who grants the results of the karma, at what time what results should come, the one who decides it is called Midushtama. The one who rains forth all the results, karma phala data. Because that is a huge matrix, and I am glad I am not working in that department along with him. It will be a chaos. Has anybody here worked in a school system when you have to work along with 50-60 teachers, different classrooms, different subjects, just to sit with all these teachers, their timings, and the students to match and create a timetable? Have you ever worked on creating a timetable? The Balavihar timetable it's a linear timetable. Linear timetable because they are not going across the sessions, across the classrooms, different periods, different sections. There is nothing like that. There is one class, two teachers, pretty straightforward, done. When you have 50-60 teachers, and for each grade there are at least, how many subjects do they have? 6 subjects? So they have 6 subjects, and by the time they come to the high school, they can, there are electives or selectives, I don't know what they call it. They can choose between, some are AP courses, some are regular courses, some are, what are the other courses? IB courses. And then to create that permutation and combination to find the perfect timetable, who gets what kind of class. And then you cannot overwork the teacher. There have to be regulations for that. And every student that has applied needs to get. So that is a small sample of Ishvaratva, just to manage the timetable, time scheduler. I am sure there are some algorithms wherein you put all this data in and it churns out. Are there are such algorithms? Okay, thank goodness. Otherwise it is such a, you can imagine what kind of chaos it can be. So you have been a professor, so you know it, right? Now imagine Bhagavan has to create the perfect matrix that you have done this job and that which is necessary as a result for that job has to come through this entire system. And that person who is qualified to give you that result has to be found, that environment to be created, and then you get the result. Plus, each seed that you sow in the same soil provide the same amount of nourishment. Maybe you are taking good care of that patch of soil. You cannot be impatient in trying to demand which seed grows how fast. Can you? If you have worked in the farmlands, paddy grows in 2 months. 2-3 months, right? In between two paddy crops, there is what they call technically as cash crops. All these pulses and dals, they are grown because they give the produce comes out in about a month, 30 days to 35 days. So they are 30 to 35 days, it gives a crop. Say guava, you plant. When does it give its first crop? Do you know guavas, right? About 3 to 4 years. Coconut, 5 to 6 years. Each crop, each seed, though sown and taken care in an appropriate manner, has its results accordingly. But we cannot demand from a paddy or the coconut to give a yield like paddy. Each seed, each karma, each vasana based on that karma, each vasana, each karma based on that vasana, and the intention, the intent with which it is done, and accordingly the result has to be given. If karma siddhanta is understood in its rightful sense, there is not a single moment to be under tension. Why we always feel that I put the effort, somebody else is reaping my benefit, somebody else is snatching my benefit.
So between two different seeds, okay, but if the two different same coconut trees, we expect the same results, or there can be difference in two coconut trees.
Now his question is, if it is different variety of seeds, different genre of seeds, it can be understood. But if the same coconut tree, same variety, like you plant coconuts, usually when you are familiar with the farming thing, you see that they all are seasonal. They in 5-6 years they start giving crops. They start giving its produce. It's not much variance in there. Otherwise it will be such a chaos, right? You sow 2 grains of paddy, and one gives in 3 months, the other one gives in 6 months, and they are interspersed, and then you will have to be picking one. It will be a painful job. Bhagavan does a good job at that. I did not. So his question is, why do they say life is not fair? It appears not fair because we don't understand Karma Siddhanta properly. We get what we deserve at the right time, and the one who rains forth that exact result at that time, he is called Midushtama. There is no unfairness in his system of working. We do all kinds of corrupt things in between. We try to snatch, we try to, I don't want to get into that samsara. There is so much of animosity that we display in trying to grab, in trying to snatch, in trying to do lots of things. But it's like sand through the fist. Even if you try to grab, it will go away. And then when it goes away, you will feel double pain. Because you put so much of effort and scheme into it in acquiring it, before you could hold it, it's already gone. Anyways, Midushtama, the one who gives every jiva the appropriate result when they deserve it at that particular time. We may try to snatch, but we can never snatch that what that individual deserves. It will come one way or the other. As sattvic we grow, we see that happen. Midustamaya Cheshumate. Now the bow that he holds has another quality. What is the quality that he has? That this bow that he holds, he can destroy anything with one stroke. That is what Bhagavan Ramchandraji's Dhanusha also had, Kodanda. And it is displayed in Ramayana that he is praying continuously for 3 days to find a method. He is praying to that ocean, Sagara, and the Sagara does not respond. Ultimately he gets so irritated that he pulls out his Dhanusha, and still Sagara does not come. Then there is the string, which is just the sound of the string, and still Sagara does not seem to be threatened. And finally he puts an arrow there and launches it to dry the entire ocean. Then Sagara appears. And then he says that you don't need my help, you already have Nala and Neela. Ask them to use these kinds of rocks and they will start floating, ask them to construct the bridge. But then Ramji has now a peculiar situation. He said, you could have told that before just when I had taken the bow. Now that I have the arrow on, I cannot put it back in the quiver unless it serves its purpose. Either I use it on you or on something that you will suggest now. Then he says that on the western hemisphere in the oceans, there are a lot of piracy, pirates. So the pirates issue is not just today's. So when you read that section, what amazed me was the pirates and their lineage runs pretty deep. That even during Bhagavan Rama's time, that area which is described is still infested with pirates. So Bhagavan uses his arrow and one stroke he cleans up the entire set of pirates there. Now here specifically talking of Bhagavan Shiva, what did he do? The destruction of the Tripura with one arrow is already known. Say that again.
Since there were pirates, there were
to have the boats, I don't need to refer to the reference of pirates. Even Ganga Nadi he crossed with boats. But at that moment, in that, yeah, ocean is slightly different. Ocean is slightly different, but at that time he did not have the kind of infrastructure to build those boats. The raw material and the artisans required to build it, instead he found easier to build a bridge, friendship bridge across to Lanka. Okay, now coming to the Tripura. So we know that he destroyed it with one arrow. And the beauty of that story is when Bhagavan Shiva launches to attack Tripura, Lord Vishnu offers his help in saying that he will become the tip of the arrow. Brahmaji offers that I will become the arrow itself, on which that tip is held in. And the bow that Bhagavan Shiva holds and launches this arrow in destroying Tripura in one shot. Now what is this Tripura? Our own Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, and the ego which is attached to the Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, clinging on to it. But the point is, none of these three cities are in one alignment at any given point of time. If you are sleeping, you are not awake. If you are awake, you are not sleeping. If you are dreaming, you are neither awake nor sleeping. So what do we do? So combined the three forces. The determination and vairagya of Shiva, the focus in the creative surge of Brahmaji, and the sharpness of Bhagavan Vishnu. Add these three things, add these three qualities of the Trinity. Then when the sadhaka has all these, now what are all these? In Vedanta Shastra it is very clearly stated in the very beginning itself of any such spiritual enquiry. What does the seeker require? Sadhana Chatushtaya. Now what is Sadhana Chatushtaya? Sadhana Chatushtayam Kim? If you have gone through Tattva Bodha, you should be knowing it. Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi Shat Sampatti, Mumukshutva. Endowed with these qualities, when you strike that arrow of sadhana, how does it destroy this Tripura? By destroying the one which is identified and indulging in all these three worlds. The ego is destroyed. When that ego is destroyed, that which is related to that ego, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, they are also destroyed. And the one who destroys it in one stroke is Bhagavan Shiva. Therefore, in your Nitya Upasana, in your Nitya prayers, invoke his blessings to give us that sadhana chatushtaya, with which one stroke we can annihilate this ego and its dirty tricks. Ishumate. Namo Midustamaya cha Ishumate cha. Now moving forward. So here we see that he is worshipped as Brahma, he is worshipped as Vishnu, he is worshipped as Shiva, he is worshipped as the creator. So there is oneness being shown that Paramatma alone is Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. And there is no point striving or no point trying to separate these paths. Saying that we are Vaishnava, Shaiva or Shakta or Ganapati, it doesn't make sense. Whichever is the form, intensely apply yourself and find the path to moksha. Again, to say that my God or my form that I am worshipping is the greatest is still an okay statement. But to make a statement that my God is better than other gods, that makes it fanaticism. Let us never ever fall into such trap. Always remember the example. When the child says, my mommy the greatest, it is not a comparative statement of that child. The child is not trying to make a statement that my mommy alone is the greatest, the rest of them are yuck. That is not what it means. What is the child trying to say? That whatever it be, my mom is the greatest one. The child is not trying to say that my mommy is greater than the other moms out there. That makes that love unbearable when it is a comparative statement. It's not even love in first place. Respect whoever is worshipping whatever form. In between them, they don't have a problem. Now, those who are worshipping them, why do you have a problem? The reason I make these statements again and again is the new age has new problems. Now we have these talks being streamed, and then they are uploaded on the other media channels and other things, YouTube. So recently I got a very pungent email, because I must have said that Bhagwan Shiva, Hari and Hara are the same. I got a 3-page email, not email actually, it is a comment or inbox within the YouTube. Such a pungent one. You are not even qualified talking because you are comparing Hari and Hara as the same. How can it even happen? I am not making it up. The story is already there. That he is worshipped as not just Hari and Hara, but as one, as Hari Hara. So, I am just trying to illustrate into that aspect of oneness. Well, we need to get that understanding very clear. That Baba, it is one Paramatma who is expressing as Hari, Hara and Brahma. And it is that Paramatma that is invoked in whichever form that you are invoking. Understand that standpoint. Now moving to the next one. Repeat after me. Namo Hrasvaya cha Vamanaya cha. Namo Hrasvaya cha Vamanaya cha. Hrasvaya, salutations to the one who is endowed with small body, a small form. Hrasva, Hrasva means small. Vamanaya cha, the one who is endowed with small limbs, small feet, small hands. It is said in various scriptures, various Upanishads, that Paramatma is often described as Anoraniyan. Anoraniyan, meaning what? He is smaller than the smallest, subtler than the subtlest. Now the entire creation is created from 5 elements. Right? What are the 5 elements? Earth, water, fire, air and space. Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu kham. These are the 5 elements. The permutation of these 5 elements, therefore it is called prapancha. Pancha means 5. Why is this world called prapancha? Prakarshena prakatita panchatatvaya. These 5 elements, prakarshena, the permutation and combination of this, prakatita, expressed in these multitudes. Therefore, it is called prapancha. Of these 5 elements, which element is the grossest one? Now, the grossest to the subtlest, how do we decipher that which is gross and which is subtle? The pervasiveness of the element decides its subtlety. Earth, wherever you put a piece of stone, it stays there. Unless you have 2 or more naughty people at home. No thing is at any given place. Newton's law works. It stays in the state of inertia unless an external force is applied. Earth, you put it will remain there. It's only one dimension there. Water, it moves from a higher to a lower. Water has a movement to it. I mean, there are even subtler ways to understand this and trying to put it in as non-technical terms as possible. Then there is, after water is Agni, fire. The water goes from top to down, fire goes from bottom up. And it also is pervasive, it spreads across. Air is subtler than fire because it is everywhere. All these 4 elements exist in Akasha. Bhumi, the earth, water, fire and air exist in space. And the space is amazing. Everything exists in it and it exists in everything. It is as subtle as have you ever stitched your clothes? The buttons and have you ever done that? So when you stitch, the prerequisite is good eyesight. It is such a hilarious thing. The thread, and then you almost feel that it has gone through, and then go to the other side and pull. Thread comes out and the needle stays where it is. And then you again. So that hole is very small. The thread can go because there is space there. Go subtler. The scientists say that when you take the gross matter to its elemental stages, atomic stages. 99% of its whatever structure is empty, it is space. So the space is all pervasive. From the subtlest to the grossest, everything is pervaded and exists in that space. Okay. So I don't need to prove one by one stating as to why the conscious principle is subtler than earth, subtler than water, subtler than fire, subtler than air. If I can just prove that it is subtler than space, then it is the subtlest one. And where does this space exist? In Gurudev's words, I am just repeating his words, in your head. Where does the space exist? In your cognition. That which cognizes the very existence of space as well, all across, is subtler than the space itself. And this, in various Upanishadic terms, is called Gaganopasana. To do the upasana, meditate on the Akasha Tattva, and then realize that the conscious principle is subtler than that Gagana or Akasha. Anoraniyan, that which is Hrasva. Then it is said that the Trivikrama avatar. Do you know that avatar? Just to confuse, I use that word. Trivikrama is another name of Vamana. He won over 3 steps. Vamana. So that story of Vamana is well known, that he goes to Bali and asks for 3 steps and he consumes everything. Vamanayacha, the one who comes as a dwarf with small limbs. Then the Upanishads like Kathopanishad and others, they say Madhye Vamanamasinam Vishve Deva Upasate. Madhye Vamanam Asinam. Where is this Paramatma? Hridaya Guha Hrit Pundarikam Virajam Vishuddham. Hrit Pundarikam, in the heart or the lotus of the heart. Hrit, Hridaya, Pundarika, lotus, the lotus of the heart. So we are not talking about the right side heart. Sorry, left side heart. We are not talking about the left side heart, that which pumps the blood, but it is right in the middle. This is where it is the Anahata Chakra. And you will be surprised, even in some of the Sufi works, you will come across the word Anhat. Anhat is Anahata. So in that Anahata Chakra, in that lotus of Anahata Chakra, there is the Vamanam Asinam. And how is that Vamanam? How is that Vamana avatar there? Sognihi Adhumakaha. He is glowing constantly. So where do you recognize that conscious principle? I mean, this is only for the Upasana purposes. It is not to be ascertained that I dig a hole and to find. Why did you dig a hole? To find Paramatma. And just because you dug a hole, it does not make you a holy person. So that is in the subtlest forms, which is in the Anahata Chakra, and it is to be meditated on that Paramatma as Angushta Matra Purusha in the Vamana form. Vamana, the small form. How is he glowing? Madhye Vamanam Asinam Vishve Deva Upasate. In fact, all gods worship and invoke this Paramatma. And where is that Paramatma? Right in your own heart. To such Vamana, to such Hrasva Rupa, the subtlest form, my salutations and prostrations. Now continuing further, the next mantra. Namo Brihate Cha Varshiyase Cha Namo Brihate Cha Varshiyase Cha. Brihat, Brihat, the one who is bigger than the biggest. So you may look at this and say, decide first. Are you smaller than the smallest or bigger than the biggest? Therefore, the Hindu scriptures get a blemish that they are always confusing. They don't have one firm standpoint to themselves. Because at one end they say that it is smaller than the smallest, on the other end they say the bigger than the biggest. Therefore, I will take the mid path. And what is the mid path? Size doesn't matter. Brihate, the one who is bigger than the biggest. Varshiyate, Varshiyate, the one who is endowed with lot of gunas, or all the gunas are endowed only in that Paramatma. To such Bhagavan Shiva, my salutations and prostrations. In the same mantra, it comes in Mundakopanishad and Kathopanishad. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. So you are referring to Upanishad to substantiate this statement. The Upanishad is also confused. So they also say that it is subtler than the subtlest and bigger than the biggest. Now Purana Darshana says, continuing from the earlier story, that Vamana, when he approached Bali as a Yachaka, he was in a Hrasva Vamana form. Now as soon as he was granted and he was asked to take it, he became bigger than the biggest. Brihad Rupa. So Mahato Mahiyan, from the Purana standpoint, he became the biggest one. And our Jambavanji says in Ramayana, when he had to jump across Hanumanji, Jambavan, and they all go in search of Sitaji, he says, typical like an old man. He says, when I was young, now the Jambavan is one character who you find in Satya Yuga or Kruta Yuga, then you find in Treta Yuga, then you find him in Dwapara Yuga also. In fact, he becomes the father-in-law in Dwapara Yuga. Jambavati becomes the wife of Bhagavan Krishna. Imagine how old he must have been by the time he was in Dwapara Yuga. Because by Treta Yuga itself he was complaining this way. In Treta Yuga he says, when I was young, in Satya Yuga, when there was this Trivikrama, Vamana Avatara, and when he took his huge form, Vishwarupa, it seems when Bhagavan put his foot on earth, Jambavan went around the earth doing the pradakshina of earth. In that fraction of time when the foot was on earth, he did 7 times pradakshina of that Vishwarupa. I had that kind of strength. Now beta मैं तो बुढ़ा हो गया हूँ. I don't know even if I will be able to cross a few miles, few yojana across this ocean. So I am out of this task. So Vamana, wherein he in fact says that just his, what do you call it, toe, the big toe was resting on earth. Rest of the foot was hanging out. And I did pradakshina of this entire Vishwarupa. Now imagine what kind of size must be that Brihad Rupa of this Vamana. So this is Pauranika Darshana. Now he becomes Vamana through Jagrat Swapna Sushupti. He is that consciousness beaming inside in the Vamana form. When you look at it from the standpoint of Jagrat Swapna Sushupti. But when you look at it from the substratum standpoint, the Adhisthana standpoint, that Turiya Tattva is bigger than the biggest because it supports and substantiates the existence of Jagrat Swapna Sushupti. Therefore, he is Brihat. He is Brihat because Nirgunaha, attributeless. Meaning what? Any attribute given makes the existence belittled. Attributes can be given only in terms of the prapancha, that which is in the field of 5 elements. That which is nishprapancha, nirguna, cannot have any attributes. Therefore, he is called bigger than the biggest. See, if somebody did not compliment, somebody did not praise you, good. Why? Nirguna, and you have not belittled yourself with any praise. What a standpoint to look at. This is the Vedanta Darshana. So, Brihate, bigger than the biggest, 2 standpoints explained. Actually 3. Varshiyan. Varshiyan, another set of contradicting terms. On one side you say he is Nirguna Nirakara, on the other side you say Varshiyan. What does Varshiyan mean? Sakala Guna Sampannaha. Sakala Guna Sampannaha. If at all there are any gunas, all these attributes only belong to him and no one else can claim those attributes. He is the one who is constantly or completely endowed with all these gunas to its maximum. Therefore, he is Varshiyan. And because of this guna, Varshiyan also gets another meaning, Stuti Arhata Samarthya. That he is the only one who can be praised. If somebody comes and says, nobody recognizes me, nobody praises me, nobody, so you can tell them, look into their eyes straight and say, you are Paramatma or what? If you are Paramatma, you are worthy of praise. If you are not, if you are already Paramatma, then you know, why do you need a praise? He is the only one who is worthy of being praised, because he is the only one who has all these gunas in its completeness. We have tweaks of them by mistake here and there in life. He has them completely at all times. guna gana vibhushitasya. And then it is also said Varshiyan means the one who has the maximum age, Varsha, meaning he is the most ancient one. Paramatma is the most ancient one. Why? He invented time. So that which is beyond time alone can be called as Purana. Purana does not mean, like in Hindi they use Purana means old and dilapidated. No, that doesn't justify the word. Purana actually means that which is beyond time, that which invented time, that which controls time. Therefore, he is the adhikasya adhika varsham atayeva varshiyan. Now you bring the most ancient one, Paramatma can beat him by innumerous number of years. Therefore, he is Varshiyan. So, Namo Brahate cha Varshiyate cha Namaha. Continuing. The next mantra. Namo Vruddhaya cha Samvruddhvane cha Namo Vruddhaya cha. So by today's mantra, as a man or woman, if you are called old, understand that you are being referred to as Paramatma or Paramashiva himself. Vruddhaya cha. Vruddhaya cha, the one who is very old. So don't get offended when somebody says, old lady, old man. Feel that it as compliment. It has to remind you of Paramatma. Why? Namo Vruddhaya cha. Samvruddhvane cha. Samvruddhvane cha, the one who is the one who expands himself in samvriddhi, in prosperity. Now, why is Paramatma called Vruddha? Where was Brahmaji born from? Padumanabha. Born out of the lotus born of Vishnu. And who is the father of Vishnu, or who is the one who created Vishnu? Is this Paramatma Tattva, which we are here worshipping as Shiva. So who is the most oldest one? सबसे बुढ़ा कौन? Is Bhagavan Shiva in this aspect. The most experienced one, therefore he is the most Shanta. Vruddha is Gyana Vruddha. And wherever there is Gyana, there is Shanti. So do you have peace in your heart? Then you have Jnana. If there is restlessness, in fact you look at the basic standpoint of every fear, every anxiety, every abnormality inside that we find, the only basic reason for that abnormality to exist is Jnana Hinata. And here he is Vruddha meaning Jnana Vruddha. So to have grey hair and to grow old is to say that I have grown wise. Hopefully they match. Because wisdom and age don't go proportionately. It has to be an effort to grow wise. And he is the very conscious principle, he is the very knowledge embodied. Therefore, he is the Jnana Vruddha. Samvruddhvane, the one who expands into prosperity. What is the greatest prosperity? Not a trick question, a simple question, but it is a Vedanta vichara. The greatest samvruddhi is the ability to invoke the Lord in the heart without any kind of wavering attitude. Supposing you sit on the seat of meditation, you close your eyes. How long can you hold that form or that image or that thought of the Lord? Om. After this, I need to get a cup of coffee. Om. After I drink coffee, then I can go for a walk. Om. What are you meditating on? Coffee. Instead, have a cup of coffee and then sit for meditation. Otherwise, all that you will be doing is coffee, coffee, coffee. If you have it and sit. I am coming to that standpoint only. Mind of the monkey doesn't satiate itself with one simple thing fulfilled. It will keep jumping from one topic to the other, one theme to the other, again and again and again. As long as this waveringness exists, Purna Bhagavan or Bhagavat Kripa has not occurred yet. And that Purna Bhagavat Kripa is, as long as I sit, I can focus on that Lord. That is a true prosperity or expansion of that Lord in our life. In fact, such seeker looks forward for that gap in life, wherein responsibilities are fulfilled, I have nothing else to do. So instead of flipping a channel or going through a magazine, finds that opportune moment, says, good, now I can focus on the Lord. That is called a true samvruddhi. Samvruddhvanecha, the one who is truly expanding as this prosperity of oneness and focus with the Lord. To find that paripurna kripa, to find that focal point in your own heart, that when I sit there on the seat of meditation, other than the Lord, there is no other thought. To such form of the Lord, samvruddhvanecha, my salutations and prostrations. It continues, the thought continues in the next mantra. We will see that tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।